That's me. This is so exciting.
It all starts Thursday at 8, 7 Central on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
Snow developing after midnight tonight, and it will accumulate a few inches by midday tomorrow. I'll have complete weather details at 11.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin Hodge. Tonight on your WZMQ 19 News, we'll have the latest from Capitol Hill, where President Trump continues to put forth his agenda, leading to protests around the country. Plus, the president signs another executive order forcing transgender athletes to compete with the sex they were born as. We'll have reactions. And the United States Postal Service is once again accepting mail from China. We'll hear why it was halted in the first place. Your 19 News at 11 starts now.
Live from the UP, this is WZMQ 19 News at 11.
Thursday starts out pretty snowy around the region, and the snow though will diminish as we go through the morning, at least here in Marquette. The winds pick up, temperatures drop back into the teens by the end of the day. Wind gust to 25 to 30 miles an hour with an 18-degree temperature. That puts our wind chills close to zero, so we stay in this cold weather regime. Looks like it's going to hang for a few days here. So morning highs, though, will be in the mid to upper 20s with the snowfall, and then gradually fall during the afternoon. Well, the rest of the forecast later in the show. Kevin?
Tom, thank you. Just over 2 weeks in, the second Trump administration is sparing no time to assert control and force change across parts of the federal government. Protesters took to the streets across the U.S., speaking out against many of the president's moves and proposals. Erica Brown has the latest from the White House.
Across the U.S., protesters gathered to speak out against some of the Trump administration's actions in the first weeks of the president's second term.
Immigrants are welcome here. Hey, hey, no fear.
Some focused on President Trump's plans to deport millions of undocumented immigrants, while others called out billionaire Elon Musk's efforts to help Trump shrink the federal government.
Elon Musk has got to go.
Members of Musk's Doge team, who are not government employees, have access to a treasury system that handles trillions of dollars in grants, Social Security, and other payments to millions of Americans. In another move, the administration directed all overseas projects at USAID, the agency that provides foreign humanitarian aid, to be halted, and its more than 10,000 employees were told they were being placed on leave.
USAID projects play an integral part of America's foreign policy objectives, and we do all of this with less than 1% of the national budget.
At the White House today, President Trump didn't elaborate on his proposal for the U.S. to take control of and rebuild Gaza while having some 2 million Palestinians leave the territory.
Everybody loves it.
In his remarks Tuesday, Trump said Gaza could be a Riviera of the Middle East, suggesting Palestinians could be resettled in neighboring countries.
The president has made it clear that they need to be temporarily relocated out of Gaza for the rebuilding of this effort. Again, it's a demolition site right now. It's not a livable place for any human being.
The White House press secretary appeared to walk back the proposal and said the president had not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza.
Since his inauguration, President Trump has offered buyouts to 2 million federal workers. He eliminated 16 inspectors general and fired Justice Department officials who investigated him. Protesters gathered around the country today to speak out against the actions of the Trump administration. In Lansing, hundreds gathered on the Capitol lawn, giving speeches and sharing the impacts already being felt in Michigan from deportations and the loss of federal funding. The 50 protests, 50 states, one-day movement was organized to reject the Project 2025 agenda. The rally brought out lawmakers and nonprofit workers who encouraged the crowd.
Stay as fierce and focused as you are today, because we are going to need each other to get through these next 4 years. We cannot get complacent, and we cannot allow this to become normalized. We cannot.
The city of Marquette also saw protesting downtown today. On the corner of Washington and 3rd Street, protesters gathered in front of the post office, chanting and holding signs to express their disapproval.
Living in the UP, we're a little far away from Lansing, but we are standing up and showing up essentially in any way that we can.
The protest lasted a few hours with around 30 supporters in attendance. President Trump issued another executive action targeting transgender Americans. Christiane Benavides has more on the administration's move to ban transgender athletes in women's sports.
God bless you, Mr. President.
In a packed White House East Room, women athletes and young girls applauded as President Trump signed an executive order called Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. The Trump administration said it is making good on a campaign promise.
From now on, women's sports will be only for women.
The executive order directs the Justice and Education Departments to interpret Title IX as prohibiting the participation of transgender girls and women in female sports. Schools that don't comply risk losing funding and legal action.
You will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding.
It is not known how many transgender athletes compete in women's sports, but experts believe it is a very tiny fraction. During testimony before a Senate panel last year, the NCAA president testified he knew of fewer than 10 transgender athletes in college sports. President Trump would now expect that number to be 0.
He does expect the Olympic Committee and the NCAA to no longer allow men to compete in women's sports.
This is a completely manufactured problem.
Equality Florida Executive Director Nadine Smith says trans rights are being used as a wedge issue.
We are talking about a very narrow band of elite athletes that they are using to stop a third-grade trans girl from playing volleyball. And it makes no sense. It is cruel.
The order also requires the State Department to review visa applications of transgender people for fraud, a move that looks ahead to the next Summer Olympics set for 2028 in Los Angeles.
Other executive orders this term include attempting to ban transgender people from serving in the military and ending federal government support for healthcare assisting in gender transition. Michigan officials have introduced an $83 billion state budget proposal. Michigan's budget directors presented the first draft of the 2026 budget to the Legislature Appropriations Committee this morning. Lawmakers expressed concerns about the $34.8 billion in federal funding, which could be canceled under the Trump administration. The budget also doesn't account for a new road funding plan that could add at least another $1 billion. Michigan's budget director says their proposal is a good start as lawmakers begin work on their own version of the bills.
We put forward a budget today that's going to continue to double down on the things that matter most to Michiganders. So that's cutting taxes for working families, lowering costs of education, protecting seniors, and improving student outcomes. Governor's leadership, Michigan's economy.
Governor Whitmer is expected to roll out her own road funding plan next week. A U.S. ban on parcels from China and Hong Kong did not last long. Less than 24 hours after implementing the ban, the U.S. Postal Service said it will resume accepting all inbound mail and packages from China and Hong Kong. The back and forth is linked to a trade fight between the U.S. and China that has led each country to impose new tariffs on each other. People in Hong Kong don't believe they should be caught up in U.S.-China politics.
The imposing the duties and the other thing like is a kind of political war which is affecting the local people, not just in Hong Kong but in other places too.
President Trump believes that packages from China are one of the ways that deadly fentanyl gets into the U.S., and China's refusal to stop it is the reason, he says, for the 10% tariffs against them. Tom DeVecchio had your first warning weather forecast when we come back. Plus, we head downstate to hear how one grocery store is raising the price of their eggs. And fruit growers from around the state meet in southwest Michigan to discuss the challenges currently facing the industry. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
19 News is brought to you by Kirkish Furniture.
Buckles Party Store, it's where the party starts in Calumet with an awesome beer selection featuring domestic, foreign, and craft brewed beer, a great selection of wine, just about any kind of liquor you want, and a great range of tobacco products. Buckles Party Store in Calumet, it's where the party starts for everyone.
Instant games from the Michigan Lottery. With dozens of games to choose from and millions of dollars in prizes. It's instant fun for everyone. And try our newest exciting games with $195 million in prizes.
Tonight, the Canadians are booing us. Even worse, then they have to boo us again in French.
Colbert's all new with Damon Wayans Jr. CBS tonight.
Are you looking for a trustworthy publishing company to publish your book?
Covenant Books is an author-friendly publisher who shares your passion and beliefs. Call us today and we'll send you a free author packet to help get you started.
Call the number right now for your free writer's guide.
John's Auto is quickly becoming everybody's favorite place to get their car fixed. John's Auto is quickly becoming everybody's favorite place to fix their car. Was that right? For a better service experience, come to John's Auto Market. Why do I keep forgetting that word? Experience. Okay, go. 3, 2. For a better service experience, come to John's Auto Market.
And don't forget, we're our...
This is home. It's our town, it's our song. This is home. This is where we belong. Whoa. Whoa. This is home. Yeah. This is home.
Now, WZMQ TV19 First Warning Weather with meteorologist Tom DeVecchio.
Some snow is going to develop here for the balance of tonight, and the snow will be steady at times into the early to mid-morning hours for tomorrow on Thursday, and you can expect some accumulations. Now the snow, I wouldn't call it a slushy snow, but it may be a bit of a wetter snow, perhaps even a few snow pellets in there. Those tend to make the roadway slick, even though we don't expect a lot. So get ready for maybe a bit of a slow go if you're traveling early and mid-morning tomorrow. Looking for warmth? Forget it. Not seeing it for a while here. We will stay cold, and in fact, we'll get colder for the beginning of next week, at least through Tuesday and probably into Wednesday as well. So for the kids, we start out in the 20s, snow boots here, as there will be some snow on the ground, probably snow on the sidewalks and the parking lots. The snow will be much less in the afternoon, more scattered. Temperatures will be falling a bit. They'll be down into the teens when the kids come home in the afternoon. The winds pick up, wind chills single digits at least by then, so make sure that they are dressed warmly, as much as their exposed skin covered as possible. So through Thursday, wind shift to the west to northwest. That will bring in the colder air. And once the frontal snow moves out by midday tomorrow, start to get some lake effect kicking in for Thursday night. That could set off a couple more inches, particularly in the traditional snow belts along the western shores of the Upper Peninsula and out toward the McMillan, Newberry, and Munising. In the meantime, by Friday, the winds taper off, the forcing goes down, and the lake effect will taper off as well. So the snow going through mid-morning here, and then it tapers off. Here comes the bands of lake effect, though, developing by late afternoon, probably more in the early evening hours on Thursday. But by Friday, you can see they start to go away as the air stabilizes. Snowfall amounts from about now into midday on Thursday. Generally 1 to locally up to 3 inches of snow out near Covington, as you can see, maybe 3, and out toward Ironwood there on the western fringes of the Upper Peninsula. And again, the wetter snow may make things even a little more slick on the roads. So temperatures will be rising or holding in the low 20s. These are morning highs, may even hit 30 in Escanaba, and then back into the teens, though, by the end of the day on Thursday, with the wind chills dropping close to 0. Then Friday, cold, lake effect should be done. Thursday night lake effect done by Friday morning. Weekend, another hit of snow, maybe a couple of inches there, with cold air on Sunday. Not a lot of snow for early next week, but boy, it's cold. We won't get out of the teens, and single digits for your lows.
Tom, thanks again. As egg prices continue to skyrocket, various businesses and consumers are feeling the impacts. Just this week, the restaurant chain Waffle House added a 50-cent per egg surcharge at all locations across the country. And they aren't the only ones having to make some adjustments. One grocery store in the Lower Peninsula is also navigating changes with supply and pricing. Mackenzie Decker has more.
a deadly strain of bird flu, causing egg prices to soar nationwide.
We get people that ask for eggs all the time.
New numbers showing egg prices already up 22% since the beginning of this year, reaching an all-time high in January. Just this week, Lacey Madison, general warehouse manager for the grocery outlet store, feeling the effects.
I got an email Monday, and our pricing went from, roughly $3 to $4 up to almost $7 a dozen. And so now we're only allowed to have a certain number of cases for each kind.
Originally, the store was able to purchase 225 dozen per shipment, now limited to 135 dozen, nearly cutting their shipment in half. And with prices increasing from the supplier, it's created a ripple effect, with shoppers having to shell out more for their eggs.
We are raising the prices, but we're not trying to price gouge. We still care and we still want people to come and shop.
And so far, their focus on keeping prices as low as possible is being noticed by consumers, willing to drive further to spend less.
One lady, I answered a phone call and she was like, she asked if we had eggs and she goes, all right, I'm driving from Bangor. I don't want to pay $7 a dozen. I'll come and pay $4 or $5, for you guys.
Madison says their egg supply can be hit or miss these days, but still encourages customers to stop by.
If you come in for eggs and we don't have them, take a look around. I mean, every day we have something new and we always have a new delivery.
An event focusing on one of Southwest Michigan's largest economic drivers, the fruit growing industry. The annual Horticulture Days Conference attracts farmers and growers from across the state. And there's plenty to talk about, from farm equipment to immigration and labor work. Gabby Luma has more on the discussions taking place.
The annual Horticulture Days trade show and conference at Lake Michigan College brings together local grape and fruit growers and farmers to talk about their industry, the good and the bad. One local grower and researcher tells me the two-day event helps the community discuss pertinent issues in the industry, including climate change.
We're figuring out what works and what doesn't work in the new climate. Luckily this year we haven't had any killing freezes yet, so we're lucky there.
Other aspects of the conference feature guest speakers from all over the country, one even from Cornell University. Another local grower tells me though the industry is the second largest in Michigan, it didn't grow much until the last 25 years.
The national wine industry right now, and it might be international, is down just a little bit because there's so many more options for people to spend their $20 bill with, and we're doing what we can to promote our brand.
One woman with a labor service company tells me the labor workers her company places with farmers are legal. One woman with a labor service company tells me the labor workers her company places with farmers are legal.
It's a program that's been around since the 50s and was last updated in 1986, and it is a way for farms to secure legal, temporary guest workers.
Still to come on your 19 News, Michigan Tech's Winter Carnival officially kicks off. We'll take a look at the sculptures currently being put together. We'll be right back after this.
Our child has autism. He doesn't usually elope, but one day he did, and it was the most terrifying moment of our lives.
If I didn't have a home security system, I would have realized way too late he's gone. He could have drowned or been hit by a car.
We couldn't imagine life without our son. We cannot emphasize enough the importance of having secure doors for our family.
For my child, I co-founded Spectrum 360 Foundation, a nonprofit aiming to support individuals with autism and their families. We have partnered up with Vivint Home Security to bring safety to families like ours. It can truly save lives.
Call 800-895-8120 for free installation and incredibly low monthly monitoring plans. Every family will receive a free doorbell camera with a new plan. Don't wait. Your child's safety is everything.
I thought it was just a rash, but it had a bullseye ring around it. My doctor said it was a tick bite. Luckily, we caught it early.
Ticks found in tall grass around your home can spread Lyme disease and other illnesses, which can lead to chronic health issues. The CDC estimates nearly 500,000 people across the country are diagnosed with Lyme disease each year.
I didn't understand why my brother was having so many asthma flare-ups. Sometimes He couldn't breathe. Turns out a roach problem at home was triggering it.
Allergens left behind by dust mites, roaches, and rodents are a major driver of asthma attacks, especially in children.
When I had a fever, body aches, and fatigue, I never thought it would have been West Nile virus. All it took was a mosquito bite while gardening.
Mosquitoes spread West Nile virus and many other diseases, and they can breed in standing water around your home. Protect your family from pests. Get the facts at pestworld.org.
You're watching WZMQ 19 News, live and local, with Kevin Hodge.
Welcome back, everyone. With the Super Bowl just days away, there's a warning for fans. Counterfeiters are out in force. The NFL says scammers are flooding the market with fake merchandise for the big game, everything from jerseys to Super Bowl rings. The counterfeits are sold in malls, small retailers, and online, sometimes opening the door to identity theft. The NFL also warned about fake tickets and cautioned fans to stick to the NFL ticket network. All tickets will be digital.
Please be advised that Super Bowl 59 tickets utilize technology that creates an encrypted barcode that refreshes. Screenshots of tickets, PDF tickets, or anything else purporting to be a digital or hard stock ticket are not valid and will not get you into the game.
To protect yourself from ticket scams, the NFL has these tips. Always verify the identity of the seller, pay with a credit card, not cash, and beware of prices that are too good to be true. One Eagles fan is taking their team spirit to a new level. He decked out a school bus in his team's colors and headed down to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Amelia Strahan tells us more about the man behind the bus.
Heading off to New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
The wheels on the Eagle-mobile went round and round, all the way from Philadelphia.
It's a solo mission. 60 miles an hour, 3 days, 24 hours on the road.
Decked out in silver and green, if you drive down North Rampart, Bill Curley's 1997 bus is hard to miss.
The joy that this thing brings is priceless.
In New Orleans, it's gaining popularity.
I was very surprised, but you know, I thought about it a little bit. I was like, well, it's not really that surprising. Of course they're going to drive it down here.
But back in Philly, it achieved celebrity status when it starred in the Silver Linings Playbook, an award-winning film all about die-hard Eagles fans.
Somebody who worked on the movie, I forget his name, put the bus up for sale because nobody wanted it. So I bought it after they won the Super Bowl.
From Blockbuster to the Big Easy, Curley's name is on the title, but he doesn't consider himself the owner.
But this is the Eagles Nation has this bus. That's the real joy. It has nothing to do with me personally. It really has to do with the Eagles fans.
And Curley may be Eagle Nation's #1 fan. He says he's confident the Birds will take home the trophy on Sunday.
I really do believe the green, the silver, Saquon Barkley, that offensive line, they're going to dominate.
But dominate or not, the wheels on Curley's bus will have to go round and round, all the way back to Pennsylvania.
I don't want to have to drive it 3 days with a loss, so I'm praying hard that, we win this thing.
Michigan Tech's Winter Carnival kicked off today with a slate of activities, including the famous ice sculptures. Our own John Truitt caught up with one group who plans to work all night.
The Winter Carnival began with an all-night ice sculpting challenge. The overnight is a chance for the various groups to put the finishing touches on their sculptures. For Carnival organizer Skylar Spitzley, this is her favorite part of Carnival.
Tonight is the all-nighter, so we get to see all campus come alive and see all the snow statues be erected.
Let's not forget that Michigan Tech is an engineering school, and it certainly shows in the wonderful designs.
With all of our statues, we see a whole bunch of engineering. We see how can you make a design and make, some people even 3D CAD it. It's very interesting how every sketch is different.
The Winter Carnival is put on by the Michigan Tech Blue Key Club, which has been doing so for a very long time.
Blue Key is a service, leadership, and scholarship society, and we were tasked 103 years ago to put on Michigan Tech's Winter Carnival.
Porter Youngman from Lambda Chi Alpha enjoys using his engineering background in a fun way.
It's a whole engineering effort. A lot of design goes into it, and the main thing is it's fun.
There's a lot more to the carnival than just snow statues.
Come out and support. There's so many different activities other than just snow statues. We got karaoke tonight and a laser light show that's brand new this year that fits along with our theme. There's mocktails and food, and it's a party.
The Winter Carnival runs till February 8th with a fireworks show at Mont Ripley. In Houghton, John Truitt, WZMQ 19 News.
The theme for this year's carnival is dragons, knights, and legendary sights. It's been a cold winter in many parts of the U.S. For some, it's known as soup season, hot chocolate or hot tea season as well. But do those warm drinks actually warm us up? Susan Elizabeth Littlefield spoke with an international expert who says the answer may depend on what you drink.
When it comes to wintering winter, we all have our tricks.
I usually just go indoors and I just get in a blanket.
What do you do to warm up?
Head south.
As for local remedies, there's the warm Como Conservatory and the go-to internal relief.
Chai, probably just coffee.
Hot tea.
For Zach Johnson, the preference is clear.
My daughter has discovered hot chocolate, and when your 2-year-old discovers hot chocolate, you start to fall in love with hot chocolate again.
Fun, but is it functional?
Do you think that warm liquids actually warm us up?
I suspect in some way they do. I don't know exactly how, but yeah, I think so.
What do you do to warm up when you're outside?
Hot water.
Dr. Nathan Morris is coming in hot with the answer. When indoors, Dr. Morris works at the University of Colorado. He helped run an intricate study testing how body temperatures respond to hot liquids.
Do warm liquids actually warm our bodies up?
So the answer is it'll depend on the situation you're in, but most of the time, no, they won't.
Dr. Morris says if you are outdoors, water-based drinks or soups will stop the symptoms of cold, but not raise your actual body temperature.
So you drink hot water, your shivering reduces, your metabolic rate reduces, but your core temperature isn't affected.
But he says the warm liquids may bump up your temp a little if you drink them before you go outside and put your body into stress mode. Still, an outdoor coffee, he says, has its perks.
It makes you feel more comfortable, and it stops you from shivering, which is going to make you feel a lot better.
So at the least, hot drinks warm souls.
Dr. Morris has also done research on cold beverages and found that they don't change core temperatures either. Tom DeVecchio tells us how cold we're going to get tomorrow in a final look at weather after the break, and a Bay College student is being recognized statewide for her writing abilities. We'll have that right after this.
Why AAA? Because you're stuck in a rut, literally.
Because you're out of gas and in a pickle. Because stuff happens. And AAA is the most trusted roadside assistance. Join today at AAA.com.
A progressive jackpot that grows with every play. That's what makes Fast Cash so thrilling. The jackpot keeps building and building until jackpot. Fast Cash, only from the Michigan Lottery.
The UP200 is back. This February, 19 News brings you the very best coverage of one of the Upper Peninsula's most exciting traditions, the UP200 dog sled race. Teams from all over the country take on Michigan's snow-packed trails. From the starting line to the finish, we're your front row seat to all the action. Don't miss live updates, behind-the-scenes stories, and the heart-pounding moments as the mushers and their incredible dogs race to glory. 19 News, your home for UP200. This February, we're ready to mush. Brought to you by the Window Store and True North Federal Credit Union. Join us as we celebrate one of the Upper Peninsula's greatest traditions. The UP200 dog sled race is almost here, and 19 News is your front row seat to all the action, with big coverage coming your way this February. Stay with 19 News. It's time to ready, set, mush.
You have questions. Are your elected representatives in Washington working for you, or do they stand on the issues and what's in it for you?
Get the answers you need on WZMQ 19 News. I'm Rachel Knapp.
And I'm Brendan Scanlon. Our job is reporting on Michigan's officials in Washington, covering and uncovering what they're doing, and then reporting directly to you. WZMQ 19's Washington Bureau works for you.
And we deliver.
Quality information straight from Capitol Hill. Only on WZMQ 19 News.
Why AAA? Because you're stuck in a rut, literally.
Because you're out of gas. And in a pickle. Because stuff happens. And AAA is the most trusted roadside assistance. Join today at AAA.com.
Snow developing tonight and will continue into the mid-morning hours tomorrow. It's not lake effect, it's a widespread snow. So everyone in on the action here. And then after a break in the afternoon, some lake effect kicks in for Thursday night, particularly in the typical snow belts west and east of Marquette. But those will be diminishing and ending probably early Friday morning. So from now until midday on Thursday, looking at generally 1 to locally up to 3 inches of the somewhat wetter snow, which does get pretty slippery, even though not expecting any large amounts. Lake effect ends Friday morning, keeping it dry and cold. Saturday, another couple inches of snow as another weather system slides on by, but we'll have a nice dry Sunday. And next week, not looking very snowy, but boy, it's cold. Teens for highs, single digits for your lows. Kevin, back to you.
Tom, thank you. Finally tonight, a Bay College student has received statewide recognition for her writing. Last year, senior Ayla Polfus won the fiction category in Bay's local writing contest. She then went on to win first place in the Liberal Arts Network for Development Creative Writing Contest. This piece, titled To See, details her childhood experience of poking holes in the plastic sheets her family would use to cover windows in the winter. She turned the story into a metaphor for her mental health journey. However, she says everyone who reads it walks away with their own unique interpretation.
I'm obviously pretty happy because that means, I did a good job. But having people read it and kind of go, yeah, this is good. It is a nice experience to be recognized like that.
Polfus is currently studying social work with plans to pursue a doctorate degree in the future. That's all the time we have for tonight, folks. We'll see you again tomorrow at 6/5 Central.
Sleep better with a new mattress from Kirkish Furniture. We proudly feature made in the Midwest Restonic mattresses. Try one out today and compare other major brands. Let our sleep specialists help you find the bed of your dreams at Kirkish Furniture.